Hey there, I'm Jess Washington with the Dallas Weekly, and this is an episode of Mama2Mama, a show where I sit with amazing female entrepreneurs across the DFW who hold so many titles, but most importantly, the title of Mama. Today's guest is literally changing the game of concierge moving. She oversees various logistics and clientele like Carlos Dunlap, Chris Banjo, and Micah Parsons, just to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, the founder and CEO of Hyphen, Dennice Johnson. Welcome. So, Dennice.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the beginning of Hyphen. I want to know what gave you the concept for such a unique service.
You know, it's not all that original. There's maybe two other companies that kind of do what I do. I was just trying to find a way to streamline everything and make it more efficient, not have my clients have to go to so many different vendors, you know. So I work with the NBA, the NFL, some MLB as well. And these guys, whenever they're having to relocate, they're having to call a moving company, call a trucking company to ship their cars, call a realtor to find a new home. And so I was like, there's got to be a way for me to say, you know what, I'm the one-stop shop. I can get it all done.
Right. Just
tell me what you need and don't stress. And so that's kind of where like the idea came from, to just streamline it. But like I said, it wasn't all that original. I think it was just my touch. I have a different touch. I'm going to treat these people like they're my family members, not just a number. So I'm going to treat them with care. I have guys that call me sometimes like, hey, my AC won't work. Do you know what I need to do? And I'm like, okay, so let's go and trip the breakers. That's not part of my job, but
Right.
they feel that I am like a big sister or like a mother to them. And so I think we handle every single client the same way, with a lot of love and a lot of care and a lot of privacy, which is very important to them as well. So, yeah.
Well, when did you start Hyphen?
So I started relocating guys probably, what is that, 2015 maybe? 2015? I was functioning under another name. It was called Luxury Sports Relocation, and I was so excited about it. And then I changed the name as of last year. I changed it to Hyphen. That's what a lot of people don't know, that I've worked with hundreds of guys, but I changed the name because I didn't want to pigeonhole myself and say, I only work with NBA, I only work with NFL. I wanted to start to like venture off and help entertainers, you know, high net worth individuals, work with corporate relocations. You know, we had Toyota come to Dallas,
Right.
Tesla relocated to Texas. You know, you have Facebook and all of these different companies that I'm just like, why am I not getting a piece of that pie?
Right.
You know,
So you didn't want to limit yourself.
Yes. So I think I spent like 2 weeks just brainstorming names, because I was like, okay, Luxury Sports Relocation. What's like the middleman? Because I'm the middleman, and I was looking at the keyboard and I was like, oh, there it is, a dash, Hyphen. I am the dash between two people. So I'm like the vendor, the broker, and then the clients. Like I'm the connector. I'm the middleman. So that's kind of where Hyphen was born. We're just here to facilitate the moves and make it simple.
And I know that before Hyphen, because I did look you up a little bit.
Okay.
And you do mention all the time, unapologetically, that you've had every kind of job under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were working in Hyphen, like you pretty much can do everything. There's no job that
Right.
is untouchable for you.
Right. Yes.
And so I want you to tell us a little bit about those occupations, and also tell us like if you had visions of being where you are right now while you were doing those jobs.
I don't know that I specifically had a vision that I would be here with Hyphen, but I did know that I wanted more. And I think that drive alone was enough to get me where I am today. When I was a teacher, I wanted to give my children everything that I could. I mean, I taught Montessori like infants all the way up until 12th grade.
Oh, wow.
And so like, I just wanted them to have like a huge opportunity to just be themselves authentically and think that the sky is the limit. And so then when I worked in fast food for some reason, I was just like always trying to network. When I was in corporate and I was like a banker, same thing. I was like, what kind of events you guys got going on this weekend?
Yeah.
Where are the movers and shakers? And so I always used all of the positions that I had as like a step stool to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And so this is, if you had told me 10 years ago that I would have my own company, I probably would have been like, really? It wouldn't have been that far-fetched. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have been that far-fetched, but it definitely maybe would have caught me off guard because I didn't. It wasn't like a clear-cut path where you're just like, I go to high school and then I go to college and then I do this and this and this.
Or you were groomed to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, or that I was groomed for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, my dad is an entrepreneur, so I did have that as an example, and he has an 8th grade education, and he didn't, and English is his second language as well, so I did get to see him thrive and be relentless in his hunt for
that hard work.
For that, for what he has now, and then now he gets to reap the rewards and the fruits of his labor or whatever. But it's just, I don't know that I would have seen that at that time. You know, so I mean, to be here now, like I wake up in the mornings and before my feet hit the ground, I'm just like, oh God, I'm so thankful. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be able to be present in the moment and say, this is awesome. I can't believe this is happening to me. Like I'm getting to live out an awesome dream every day.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, too, it's like something interesting because I kind of did the same thing. All the previous jobs I worked at, I was the kind of person, I always got on people's nerves because I wanted to know what everybody did.
Yeah.
I operate like that now. I don't believe that working in your own silo will get you anywhere. You got to break that glass, whatever it is.
Agreed.
And if you don't know what everybody's doing and you don't understand the system, if you don't understand the system...
Okay.
Then you get played by the system.
Every time. Every time. I think it's like you said, you have to know everything. I know how to run my business from the ground up.
Right.
I will do the relocations. I will pack people's things, their belongings, myself with like bubble wrap and tape and boxes. I've pushed cars into containers. I've walked a million houses and found the person their house as well, shown up to the car shipments, shown up to the closings. And so everything from the actual labor, I've been there for that. And then whenever, it's not business hours anymore, I still am like, okay, time to reconcile the books, time to work on marketing, time to do social media, So you just wear a ton of different hats as an entrepreneur. And so I think, like you said, it's important to know all of the facets of your business.
Absolutely. I want to say that, like, you've definitely mentioned people in the past. Again, I looked you up.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested in what inspires people. So, like, for me, for example, my family is my foundation, and they're the ones that push me. But I know I've looked up that you mentioned people like Grant Cardone, Teron Armstead as one of the people that you have heavily influenced you in the way you operate. I wanted to know if there was anyone else, specifically any women, that you are inspired or influenced by. Not maybe not even necessarily in your industry, but just generally, like they're doing the damn thing.
For sure. I will say that there are no women in my industry as far as like the logistics. I am the only woman that I've looked up and found. I mean, like I said, there are 2 other companies that do what I do. One is based in, I want to say, California. The other one might be in Dallas. But I'm just like, as far as women in this space, there's a lot of women that are like NFL agents, NBA agents, that are coaches, players, former players, that I'm just like inspired. I'm just like, wow, you are really, like you said, breaking the glass ceiling. You are really like a trendsetter, and you're not, I guess, intimidated by the fact that this is a male-dominated, field. Right. And it's like, I don't know, it's inspiring, and I stay encouraged, and I don't know that I have like a specific. Growing up, there was this lady in Dallas. Her name's Cheryl Jackson. I don't know if you know her, but she has a food pantry. But what people don't know is before she even opened this food pantry, and I don't know if we will or will not use this, but she wanted to create such an impact in the community that she was like, by any means necessary, I will do it. And I don't care. We would get camera crews, like we would get these cameras, and we would make fake badges showing that we were with channel so-and-so and channel so, and so we would go to these events and flash them like we were part of the press. And before you knew it, now we're talking to Will Smith, now we're talking to Oprah Winfrey, now we're with Magic Johnson. And I would literally sit behind, and I was young. I'm talking about when she started that food pantry. I was there when she pulled out that first can of corn, and she was like, you know what? It was called the Giving Movement back then. Okay. I was 17 years old, so that's well over 10 years ago. And so watching her say, this is my vision, and I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I will do whatever. it
Find
takes.
a way or make one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she made a way. It was insane. And so I think I really took a page out of her book as far as being relentless in that and being like, I don't care. Like, if you say no, I'll just come in through the back door.
Which is very helpful, especially when you're at work,
Yes.
I mean, because, there's only so many professional athletes, and people out there.
Absolutely.
So that also makes sense why you got to knock on every door and make every phone call.
Every door.
That
every
is
door.
Amazing.
Cannot be shy. Can't be shy.
I also wanted to touch on, because you said that, like, you kind of have a different touch, but obviously we're talking because you're also a mother. So do you think that nurturing side has affected the way that you operate? In fact, I also wanted to ask us, after becoming a mother, did that change your entire perspective on how Hyphen was?
Oh my God. I think maybe becoming a mother changed me completely. I don't know for you, but after I had my son, I was like, I don't really even know what I was doing before this. I don't know what life was like before my son. And so, when you have a small child, my son is 3, he's a toddler, sometimes you as a mother have to anticipate what they're going to need later, right? You're not going to wait until he tells you that he's hungry. You're not going to wait until he has a rash. You're not going to wait until he's running a 105 fever. So you try to anticipate what could potentially happen and always prepare for it. And you also have to be very cognizant of all of the nonverbal cues, because they can't say, hey mom, I think I have COVID, kind of have a headache, and I don't have any other symptoms. I'm very asymptomatic, mom. Do you think you can?
Right.
They're not doing that. And so I feel like all of my senses after having my son became heightened. Mm-hmm. I feel like I could hear him crying. He's at school today, right now, and I'm gonna be like, hey, I gotta go, girl. My son's crying, and I don't know why he's crying. And so in business, I think it's translated into my always anticipating my clients' needs. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, we do real estate, we do car shipping, we do moving, but sometimes I'll find myself being like, you know what? He needs an interior decorator. He also needs a maid. He needs a landscaper, and he needs this, this, and this, and this. And also, you know what I was thinking? He probably should start a business in this. It would really benefit him. And so when they come in, I'm like, here, it's almost like I'm giving them a whole package of, I've done all of these things for you. These are suggestions. And then this is my phone number if you ever need anything. Wow. And so I think that's the touch that sets me apart from everybody else, because I'm not just using them as a number. I'm not clout chasing. I really care about what happens to my clients. Like, I've talked to my clients about everything under the sun, from relationships to children, their contracts. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing is off limits. I want to know that it is like almost like my duty, my purpose, to make sure that I'm impacting you positively. And when you leave me, that you feel like you're a better person. Yeah. And that you're inspired. A valuable resource. Yes, absolutely.
Accessible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then always knowing what to do. Like a mama does.
Like a mama does. You know, we're cooking and cleaning and folding laundry and reconciling books and everything else in between. So yeah, nothing is off limits.
I wanted to ask you, like, what would you give as far as, I always talk about that leap of faith, right? Because all of us have done something before we were successful in our own entrepreneurial ventures. But do you have any advice for that woman out there who may be listening to this, watching this, and she's like, okay, I got the vision, I even got the down payment, but I'm terrified? I
would say just effing do it. I don't know if this is PG-13 or not, but or rated R. I would say just do it, and not be paralyzed by your fear, right? I saw this thing the other day. I don't know if it was Tom Hanks, but he was saying that this too shall pass, right? You lose a loved one, this too shall pass. You know, you're at the peak of a mountain because you just got married or you just had your first child, that too shall pass. So like the moments are just, they're so small, and like the time frame, you can't I don't know, when I think about like harboring on something for too long, it'll paralyze you, and then you'll look back and be like, I wasted so much time. Right. Being scared of what? Because they were going to say no? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you posted something and it got 10 likes. Nobody cares if you posted something and it got 10,000 likes. Like, it's 15 minutes of fame. Someone else is on their way, Jess. Gotcha. You're not the only one, you know? And so once you kind of like conceptualize that, I think you're just like, I mean, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So let me
Fair.
just go for it and see what happens. I'm going to shoot for the stars and hopefully I land on the moon or some other awesome galaxy, because I just don't have time to just be paralyzed by what everybody else thinks, and none of these people are paying my bills.
Right.
Not one of them.
And I also want to just go back to that same point where it's like the time, right? And the energy, because I'm really big about not wasting my energy.
Baby.
You know, because like my vibe has to be right in order for me to be a good mother, a good boss, a good wife, you know, and all that. And so, yeah, how do you manage it? Give us the tea.
You know, when people are like, how do you manage entrepreneurship? I laugh and I'm just like,
also,
I don't.
Just to be clear, specifically what you do requires a lot of moving, a lot of shaking, a lot of logistics. And so yours is a little bit different, you know, than the average person who can go home and just relax and go back to it.
Yes. I actually was getting my coffee today, and the guy who was there, he was just like, you know, as an entrepreneur, you wear so many different hats. And he's like, but like my job, you know, he's a barista. He owns the actual establishment. When it's 5 o'clock, he gets to close the doors and he gets to go home.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't have an off day. You know, when you think about these athletes, they have their off days during the off season, but like for me, they're playing on Christmas Day. They're playing on Thanksgiving. They're playing on New Year's Eve.
The days we have off.
Yeah, the
That's
days that
you're working.
I'm working those days,
Yeah.
you know? And then when the off season hits after the season or the 16 weeks that they're playing or whatever, like there's still another set of things that need to be happening. Like the season ended, now we need to ship their cars to wherever they're going to train for the off season. Now we need to find them homes for the off season. We have to ship their belongings for the off season. And then when the season starts again, we do it all over again and shift them back to the teams that they're playing at.
That just expanded my mind, because this whole time I was actually just thinking like, okay, this person gets a trade, you know, or something like that.
Oh no, people think it's seasonal. That's the crazy
Yeah.
thing, that it's not, because all of the seasons overlap. So while they have to report for OTAs, they have to report for training camp, they have to report for the football season, and then as the football season is ending, basketball is going on, and then we have NBA trades, we have NFL trades, we have MLB, people moving up from the little leagues to the big leagues, you know, then we have the draft, the NBA draft, the NFL draft. It's not really a dead period. There's always movement happening. And then once you start doing numbers and you start thinking like, well, there's over 1,600 guys in the NFL, you know, there's over 800 in the NBA, over 800 in the, you know, MLB, I think. MLB, don't quote me. But yeah, so it's just across the sports alone, there's thousands of people that are moving. And then that's not even us factoring entertainers or the corporate relocations. So we are busy all the time. And so for me, it's like, you know, I could wake up to 20, 30 text messages a day of people saying, hey, found you on this podcast, found you in this magazine, got your phone number from my homeboy that was in the locker room. It's really not like a day off, you know. Sometimes my guys are texting at 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. They're not really sure what business hours are, and that's okay, because I love them and I need them to know I love you. Continue to come to me. But yeah, so I don't know, that there's really no dead period, and I love it. I will say I love it. It is something that when I wake up in the morning, I feel very blessed to get to impact their lives positively and take some of the stress off of their backs, for sure.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask, because this is so unique. So sometimes I go off on tangents like, and then what, does this happen? So I know I've asked you probably this before, because I remember you telling me about having to install a Christmas tree one time.
Yes.
Right. Is there anything else that you can recall that you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this?
Well, I will tell you, just yesterday, actually, I was at a football player's house. He was out of town because he was at the Pro Bowl, but we had like a move, and it was, I don't know, like a 12-hour move. Like when we say pack, I'm talking about like, if he's got these water bottles, we're bubble wrapping the water bottles. We're like bubble wrapping the walls so that the walls aren't scratched. We're grabbing every single pen, paper, like, you know, wrapping all of the coats and the shoes and the boxes and making sure that everything is accounted for. And then we go to the new house and then we unpack everything. And this move has been, I would say, a 2-day move. It probably won't finish until tomorrow. And then tomorrow, as soon as I'm done, I'm hopping on a flight to go to LA for Super Bowl. And it's just like, it's never ending.
Yeah.
You know, it is, I was like sliding because you know that we got snowed in.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm literally picking up these like 60-inch TVs
no.
and I'm like sliding down the driveway and I'm sliding up the driveway, just like, he has no clue that this is happening.
And there's no reason, for him to
he's
be worried about it.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to be worried about it. When he comes home, all the TVs will be mounted, the internet will be working, the beds will be assembled, like there will be food in the refrigerator, and he will be a happy guy. He won't even know. He won't even flinch. And so I like that, because when he comes home, he's gonna be like, I can trust Dennice with everything, and that's all I need. Yeah. That validation is enough. Those words of affirmation are good enough for me.
And obviously, that type of service, word spread fast.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That.
Yeah. So, he goes into the locker room, and he's the man in there, and he says, Dennice is taking care of me. It's a domino effect. It's done.
That's awesome.
It's done.
I want to actually bring it back to the mama side.
Okay.
Like I said, I get so intrigued with the whole moving with Hyphen. But I wanted to ask, obviously, Kip's still very young.
Yes.
But do you see anything in him that makes it like he may join the business, or he may be a little entrepreneur himself?
Sometimes his personality, I will say, is a lot like mine, right? Sometimes I see other children that are really, really my son is very sweet and very kind. Don't get it twisted. He's an adorable, sweet kid. But then there's these moments where he will say no. He'll just look at you and say, no, shh. Very kind of bossy. He's like, I'm putting my foot down. I'm drawing the line in the sand. This is what I want to happen. Yeah. And so it makes me feel like he's not going to be one of those kids that just falls in line. He's going to be when the kids are walking in line structure and they're on their way out to the playground. Yeah. My kid's the one who's wandering off, what's over there? Yeah. And I think that curiosity is important sometimes for children, because me as a mother, I want to help him cultivate whatever it is that he's good at. Right. He's 3, but he looks like he's 6 because I'm tall. And so
tall girls club.
Tall girls, and so I don't want to push him in any direction. As mothers, I think we try to break generational curses. I think when we were growing up, our parents did the best that they could, but they were like, make sure you go to school and try to become a doctor.
It's very,
try to become a doctor, try to become a lawyer, try to become something that's going to make a lot of money. And for me, I don't want his motivation to be money. I want it to be purpose driven, and I want it to be impactful, and I want it to be something that's going to make him happy. Because at the end of the day, the reason that I do what I do, and we'll get into all my childhood traumas at another date, is because I really like to help people. Yeah. I really like to help people. I like to see people smile. I think that a lot of my clients will tell you, they're like, Dennice is the funniest person I've ever met in my life. She's off the chain. She's hilarious. I'm very lighthearted, right? I don't want anything to be too heavy. And I think that that would be the only thing that I want to translate to my son. Chase whatever your heart desires. You do not have to go into sports. You do not have to go into finance. You can he could come to me and say, Mom, I think I want to be an artist. And I would help him cultivate that as best as I can. Yeah. With the resources that I have. And so, I would say that maybe sometimes when he's a little testy and bossy, instead of me seeing it as a negative, I'm just he seems like he could be assertive when he gets older. Yeah, there he is. There it is. There's that boss, you know? And so I don't know. I think it's beautiful. And I really look forward to seeing how it unfolds. Right.
It's so exciting. I share that with you because let's just say this. I have a son that is very much artistic, very emotional, aesthetics, all of that. And I'm he probably won't be running the business in the future. And that's okay. Because my goal is, if you want to be a gamer, just be the best gamer.
Let's get you a Twitch and let's get you streaming right now. Because these gamers, baby, are making millions of dollars.
Oh, I saw it.
Okay? I'm about to learn how to play Call of Duty tomorrow.
I was we will not put down.
I need to get my KD up because I'm about to,
Did you see the jerseys and everything?
Yes.
And the stadiums that they're selling now?
Insane.
So I was LARPing. I don't care what it is. Okay?
Yeah, we're going into the world of virtual reality and the metaverse and stuff like that. And so as much as sometimes I feel like a baby boomer because I'm like, what? You said that's a what? We're minting what? Oh, that's crazy. But just trying to keep up and, like you said, encouraging them to follow whatever makes them happy.
Absolutely. That's why we work so hard. So my last question, honestly, would be, what is your favorite thing about being a mother?
Ooh.
Do I need tissues?
Do you need to choose?
I said, do you need tissues? So
no. I
always break down in tears.
I know.
I love my Dennice.
Yeah.
I love them at school too, but
you feel me? Like, you guys are about to see a different Dennice in a second. But no, I think the favorite thing about being a mother is just watching the evolution. Like, he is an improvement on my design, right? So so I think sometimes people look at me and they're like, wow, like from the outside looking in, if you don't know me and you don't know my struggles and you don't know how flawed I am as an individual, you're just like, wow, that girl has it together. And social media does a shit job at
showing reality,
at showing the reality of what we're really experiencing. And so when I see him, I'm just enamored and just bewildered by like watching him grow every single day. Like, even when he was really, really young, I breastfed him for 2 years. I would just look at him and be like, you're just an improvement. You're just gonna be so much better than me. This is amazing. This is great. You're a ball of clay. Yeah. How exciting is this that you get to, like, the world is your oyster. You get to wake up every single day and do whatever you want because I'm busting my butt so that you can have a better opportunity. And my parents did it, and that's what it's supposed to be,
Right.
But like, and no shade to our ancestors, but I don't know that they had the tools and resources to break the generational curses. I don't think that they were as self-aware of what they were putting on us as far as like pressure or traumas. Right. And so I think now, as an adult and as a mother and as an entrepreneur and as an advocate for mental health, like I'm just so adamant about being very cautious with how I handle him, how I teach him, how I nurture him. I speak life over him all the time. And so I'm just like, I can't wait. It's just one of those things where you're just like, with your kids, you're just like, okay, fertilizer. Let's get some sunlight in here. Right. Let's water. And they've done those little tests where they have like the plants where you're watering your plant, you're fertilizing it, and it's getting sunlight every single day. But this one is hearing words of affirmation, hearing music, and getting spoken to every single day. And this one will grow more than that one. But they had the exact same ingredients, technically. And so I'm just excited because I'm just like, he could be sleeping and I'm just like, you're great. You're amazing. You're strong. You're and so I don't know. I'm just excited. I do not want to fast forward time because I feel like I've blinked and now he's 3 and I'm going to blink and he's going to be 15 and I'm going to cry for the next 10 years. But I'm just excited. Like, I don't think our parents were this excited. I think they were like, hey, take out the food out of the freezer and we'll be home when we get home. I
agree. It was a little different. I mean, I can speak for me. My mom had me a little young, so the stresses were a little different. I purposely waited to have my children the way that I did because I was like, I know, I like to party. I know I like to get out there. So it was all intentional when I had I still wasn't prepared. But
You'll never be prepared.
All intentional, and that whole thing of what you said, making you better. I mean, I literally said that the minute my daughter was born, she's like, she's already better than me. She knows it. And I'm going to let her know it.
Yeah, like, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Perfectly fine. You are already a better woman than I am
You're killing it. You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great.
Yeah. And then I kind of want to speak to also just a little bit the generational thing that you were talking about because one thing, and again, I'm not going to dig into my childhood trauma, but like I'm hyper focused on making sure that when I yell, it's in for a good meaning, but I also wrap it back up and make sure I'm not angry, and it's like I just feel like, and one thing that really impressed me when you and I first met was I could tell that like you read books and you studied up and you like were very informed on like the levels Kip was at, mentally and how you should react to them. In fact, I almost felt guilty. Like, am I not? I was like, because I sometimes just go off,
No. I think we all, I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine. We all fall short. Like I was at your daughter's birthday party and I'm literally like, I'm annoyed. I'm going home. I'm not doing enough. And I think that as parents, we're always internally like judging ourselves. Like we are our own worst critics. And I feel like as long as you wake up every morning and you're like, I'm doing the best that I can and this is what I have to give today. Like I cannot pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Then that's it. Like, so I don't know. I think like you said, I do read a lot. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I'm always constantly trying to educate myself. Like, a lot of people don't know that I didn't go to college. Like, I just didn't go to, like, they're like, what? You're working with the
done all these things, and you were a teacher and all this.
No. And listen, exactly. The way that I got into teaching was because I'm fluent in Spanish. We're in Texas. Texas is basically Mexico.
Right.
So they were so short-staffed that they would just be like, well, we'll give you these contract jobs, if you'll come in. I have a clean background. And so it's just like, before you knew it, I was like teaching. And then the same thing with banking. Like, it doesn't matter now because I'm my own business owner. But back then with the banking, I was like the lead for Capital One, and we were like repossessing vehicles. And when I went for the position, the guy was like, hey, have you ever done this before? Have you ever done collections? I was like, absolutely. When I tell you I was lying through my teeth, I had never worked at a bank. I had never repossessed a vehicle. He was like, do you work with 30, 60, or 90? And I was like, 90. I didn't know what 30, 60, or 90 meant. I mean, I was in there just shucking and jiving. I was like, I don't know. Did I mention I know Spanish?
She's a real salesperson.
I can sell salt to a slug. I can do it all,
gosh.
by any means necessary. I'm just going to get it done. And then before you knew it, like after the training, it turned out that 30 meant that you were 30 days past due on your car payment, 60, 90. So me saying 90, he was like, oh, so you deal with the people that are like extremely delinquent. How, like, are you effective in getting them back to pay? Absolutely.
Right.
Girl would call. I'd be like, hey, this is Dennice. I was just calling because I'm going to come get the car. And they'd be like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, it turns out you got to make a payment or I'm going to come get it. And then they'd tell me, they'd come in and they'd be like, Dennice, we are recording these conversations for quality assurance, right? You cannot tell them you're going to pick up the car. And I was like, oh, for real? I said, I'm literally getting you guys so much money and I'm threatening people. I'm like, I'm outside. They're like, what?
And you're like, I thought that's how you're supposed to do it.
I thought that's what you did.
You wanted the car. I got the car.
Listen. So I'm like, I've done all of that and I'm just like, I did not go to college. Like my school was like school of life, right? But I also was very big on making sure that like my friends that were in college, like I had some friends at UNT, I would go to UNT and I would sit in the classes with them and I would ask them for their syllabus and then I would go buy all the books at half price books and I would read them.
What?
Yes, because I was like, okay, I don't have the time to go to college, but that doesn't mean that I can't get an education.
Right.
So I'm just going to read everything that my homegirl that's graduating with a degree in this. Yes. And I was like, whatever. And so, like I said, it just kind of was one of those things where I always wanted more. So I was like, I'll just get it by any means necessary. Like they never saw me in the back of the classrooms at UNT, but I had all of their syllabuses. I read all their books. And then with the networking, I just started going to like networking events by myself. And I'd just be like, hey, Deion Sanders, what's up? I'm Dennice. That's crazy. You said you need what? Okay, yeah, cool. Take my phone number. I'm gonna call you. We're gonna do lunch. We're gonna do lunch. And then before you knew it, I was friends with Deion. And so it was just like this like domino effect of me just relentlessly pursuing God knows what. Nobody knew. I was just hungry. I still am.
I'm blown away.
Girl, because you don't even know. I'm about to be up at the Super Bowl like, hey, what's your name? That's crazy. Your cousin's about to get drafted? Definitely take my number. Awesome. Okay. See you. Love you. Yeah. And so that's kind of what it turned into. And so I know how to work a room really well. But it's all kind of like self-taught. And sometimes I mess up and sometimes people say no. And sometimes people close the door in my face. And I'm just like, I'm learning to push through the embarrassment. Because I've had guys be mean sometimes and I'm just like you kind of want to go home, curl up in a ball and say, okay, well maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Right.
And I'm like, screw that. Of course I'm cut out for this. I'm the best at this, and I'm sure you've had to do this yourself where you're just like, sometimes you have so many negative thoughts in your mind and the negative thoughts will overpower the positive ones 1,000 to 1, 1,000 to 1 every single time.
You forget all the good things you've ever done. What? Every single one.
Look at where you are today. Like, how dare you doubt yourself? How dare you doubt that God put you where you are today? And so I think, it's just one of those things where sometimes I have to wake up and speak life over myself, even though I'm lying, and just see kind of where it takes me. And you got to fake it till you make it and be like, I'm great. Yeah, no, I'm beautiful. I'm wonderful. And low key inside, I'm like hella insecure. I'm struggling every single day, but here we are.
I have to say, but you're doing the damn thing. I mean, this is the school of Dennice Johnson. I'm here for it.
I might start a school and teach these girls how to work a room and how to start businesses and how to be empowered. Because
that's real. But I think I'm gonna bring it back to the mama thing though. Like when I first met you, you actually brought Kip to the restaurant. I did.
I was like, girl, I don't have a babysitter.
Not only that, but the first thing I remember you saying, I was so impressed, was you said, I'm not embarrassed.
I'm not.
I'm not embarrassed.
I'm not. People need to know that in our first meeting, my son was having a terrible threes meltdown. Like, he was running around the restaurant, and we're talking about an upscale restaurant.
It was kind of nice.
It's an upscale restaurant. They had just opened the restaurant. My son is running up and down it was insane. And I'm looking at him like, okay, sometimes you have to give kids a break where you're just like, all right, so this is your first time on earth, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so you've only been here 3 years? That's crazy. Okay, so you don't know social norms. Right. So you don't know what's socially acceptable, right? All right. So timeout, you don't even know what that is. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Right. It doesn't affect me if I don't know what timeout is. That's like a gang member throwing up gang signs. I don't know what set you're repping. I don't understand what you're talking about. So why would I, like, my son is like, timeout? I don't know what that is. I'm like, what about a spanking? He's like, I still don't know what that is. What are you talking about? I just see waterfalls over there and I just want to go stick my hand in there.
Right.
And so, like, you kind of have to, like, remove yourself from yourself with that embarrassment, because that embarrassment only comes from society being like, oh, look at her child is just not well behaved. And it's like, it's his first time here. You know, I have to cut this kid some slack. He wants to play in the water.
He's not hurting anybody.
He's not hurting anybody.
I was so impressed by that moment, though. It really changed my own perspective of how I go out with my kids. And, you know, I still probably get a little bit more anxious than you do, like, you know, because you were just so cool and collected. It blew me away.
No, I think it's just one of those things where you're just like, and I'm sure you've done this, where time and time and time again, children will habitually step over the line. You draw the line in the sand and they want to test the boundaries. They want to see what they can do and what they can't do. Like, you know, I think he had like a fit at Target and he was on the ground making snow angels and screaming at the top of his lungs because he went by the Oreos that are in the checkout line and he started opening them and eating them all. Not just one, all. So I don't know how much money he thinks I'm made out of, but he's eating all of the Oreos.
Like, we're just gonna take this
just all of them, all of the Oreos. And so I have now picked him up. He is kicking and screaming and having a full-blown fit. And there's like a mom like 2 aisles over in the checkout line, and she's like, "You're doing great." And I'm like, you know, it's so crazy because I'm about to have a nervous breakdown and I just don't understand why he's doing this when I just housed him in my womb to keep him alive. I wake up every day to keep you alive. And you're being a brat. It's really crazy. But the books that I read say that oftentimes when our children are doing that and we become embarrassed, it's more so a reflection of us than it is them. And so you kind of have to take a look, like even in relationships, like if I do something that triggers you, it's probably something you have not dealt with. That's like traumas. Let's go back and like unpack that baggage real quick, because baby, what I'm doing has nothing, you know, you can only control Jess. You can't control Dennice. You know what I'm saying? And so kind of the same thing with your children. I think what I try to do with Kip is I'm like, okay, we're going to do this and color in here. I don't want to make you like this narrow like lane where you can only walk this path. I want you to color within this, where over here you die and then over here you die too. So I'm just trying to keep you alive, but I definitely want you to explore your creativity, be your own man, and grow. You know, grow in love, which is, I think, the basis of everything.
At the same time, we're also trying to grow ourselves.
I'm trying to grow in love. You're trying to grow in love. I'm trying to grow in friendships and every aspect of my life. I'm just trying to grow. And so, yeah, I think that's...
Well, That's
that on that.
That's
That's that on that. Okay.
From one mama to another.
Yes.
Well, Dennice, thank you so much for talking with me.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Mama2Mama. And we will see you next time.